Welcome to the video tutorial of Python programming. So this is another session of Python. In the last class we have studied about Python functions. So how the functions can be used, how the parameters can be passed, and arbitrary parameters. Okay, and key value parameters. So like these concepts we have learned in the last class. Next we have the similar kind of thing called as Python modules. See, generally module is same as a code library, like something we have written and saved in the format of a Python file, like a .py extension. So every Python file can be saved with the .py extension. Okay, so something we have written the code and we have kept it somewhere under the Python extension. Okay, so now if anyone want to use that particular code in some other program, he can use. Okay, that is the advantage of modules. Like in C programming, we have so many library files. All these library files can be utilized by the programmer. Suppose printf is a function which is there in some library which is called stdio.h. Printf is not written by the developer, that means by the user. Okay, so printf has been written by already the programmers who have developed C programming. So they have kept that printf function in a header file called stdio.h. As a user, we are using that file which is there in the stdio.h into our program by writing a statement called #include stdio.h, that which we call as a connecting the libraries or connecting the header files. Similar concept here exists in Python, where we can write some code and save that file with a .py extension, and that file can be used by any other programmer who has a requirement. Okay, that is a kind of a thing called Python modules. So similarly, we can also use, while writing our program, we can also use different Python modules which are written by some other users. Okay, so thereby we can reduce the time by writing the same code again and again. Suppose if I have some particular code already exists in the internet under the Python extension .py file, which is useful to me, so I can use directly that particular module can be utilized by any user. Okay, he can download that code from the internet, and if it is fit for your requirements, then you can use that code. Okay, so similarly, to create those kind of library modules or a code which is used as a library file, we can use modules concept. Okay, so what is a module? Generally, you can see here a file containing a set of functions you want to include in your application. Okay, so what is a module? Module contains some different functions which can be utilized later in our program. Okay, which can be written by you or which can be written by some other programmer. Okay, so to create those kind of modules, only thing you need to do is you write simply as how we are writing functions. The same concept as functions. There is nothing new here. Module cannot be written something like any other syntax is not there for modules. It is same as the functions. But only thing is you need to save that file with the .py extension. Okay, so see here in this example, like how we started the functions concept. Similarly, here also we have defined def, then name of the function, then I'm passing some parameter, then after that colon is there. After that you have to left one line. That means I have forgot to told you in functions concept, this is called indentation. Indentation means After writing the definition of a function or any conditions, if or while condition, for loop or anything, any kind of thing, in the next line when you start writing the statement, you have to leave one space. Okay, why it is required is, in general C programming or any Java programming, we use a separate operator called parenthesis, that means curly brackets. Suppose when you want to start any function, we start writing by a statement void space name of the function. Then if at all it has any parameters, we pass the parameters. Then what should we do in the next line? We open a curly braces. After opening the curly braces, we'll start writing the lines of code in the function. Then when you want to close the function, you again use a curly brackets. Okay, so opening curly brackets and ending curly brackets. So these can be used in normal C programming. Here in Python, we don't have any curly brackets. So then how can we define what is the function where it has been started? So by using this indentation. This is called indentation. That means leaving one space after any function or any if condition or any while condition. The next line will be started with leaving one space. Okay, so this is a rule here. So this concept is called as an indentation. Okay, so once again I'm repeating that Python modules is nothing but same as a functions concept, but only thing is you will save that code with a .py extension. Okay, and this .py extension file can be utilized by any other programmer whenever or wherever it is required. Okay, see here how to use a module. So there is a module, my module. In the earlier program, I have saved this program, this total function. I have written something there here. So this total thing will be saved in a file called mymodule.py. Okay, so this is something we have written in mymodule.py, and this can be used. So this file name is mymodule. Okay, and this mymodule can be used in anywhere. Okay, so how can we use this? You can see in this slide by using an import statement. Like in C programming, we have hash include statement. Similarly, here we have import statement. Okay, so import my module. I am importing the function which has been declared in the previous slide. Now what I am doing is I am utilizing this my module function like by my module dot greeting. So in my module, what is the code we have written? We have written a function called greeting, and in that greeting should accept one parameter, something. We have to provide the name, and what it will do, it will print hello, that name, whatever the name we have provided, that name will be printed here. So here we import a my module statement by using an import statement. Then after that, what should we do is my module dot greeting. So this is the function we have written in the my module function, and what I am passing as a parameter is something, the name. Okay, some name I am passing as a parameter. So what the output you will get is, I'll write here. So the output you will get here is hello, the parameter that I have passed. Okay, because this is the body of the function that we have written in my module. Okay, so I hope you got this, how we can utilize the my module which has been declared somewhere or which has been defined in somewhere. So anywhere, any function that can be simply utilized in your program by using an import statement. In the next classes also, we try to use different kind of library. Python is also having some set of library files. There is a huge set of library files, not a small set. There is a huge set of library files which are there in Python. So all these functions can be utilized in our program also by using an import statement. Okay, so in fact import statements should be the first statement of any program that we have to write in Python. Okay, even though without import statements also the program will be executed, but wherever it is required, you have to use this import statement. Okay, in later classes we try to use some library files which are already there in the Python library. So at that time we have to write this import statement. Okay, so this is how we can use the modules, right? By using an import statement, we can use a module which has been written by some other programmer. Next, how can we define the variables in module? So you can see module can contains functions as already described, but also variables of all types. We can use arrays, dictionaries, objects, tuples, list, any kind of things we can use in modules also. Okay, whatever the concepts we have learned till now, declaring the variables, okay, strings, list, tuples, sets, all these can be used in modules also. Okay, but only thing is, whatever the code you have written, everything will be stored under a name called any name, and have to given by the extension .py. Okay, and that module can be utilized in later programs. Suppose see here, we have written a code something, person1 is equal to name John, age 36, country Norway. Okay, so in this we have used some different kind of things. Okay, so this is called generally dictionaries, but dictionaries has not been covered until now. So in the next classes we'll try, in the second chapter we'll discuss about dictionaries. Okay, so this one is called as a dictionary. Dictionary is a kind of a data type or a data structure, we can say, which can store value pair, key and value pairs. So name is the key and value is John. Similarly, age is the key, 36 is the value, country is the key, Norway is the value. Okay, so dictionaries can be written in this format, like curly, we have to open the curly brackets and end with curly brackets. Okay, and this total dictionary will be saved in a variable called person1. Okay, so you need to observe that this is a dictionary. Dictionary contains what? Key value pairs. That means it has two different values. In that, the first one is called as a key, second one is called as a value. Okay, so name is a key, age is the key, country is the key. Similarly, John, 36 and Norway are the values. Okay, so this everything will be written under the name called mymodule.py. Now what happens at the later time, I am writing a program. In that program I am utilizing the mymodule, that module. Okay, so I am utilizing a module called, the name of the module is mymodule. So simply what I am writing is import mymodule. Okay, and I am writing a statement a is equal to mymodule.person of age. Okay, mymodule is the module which has been written somewhere else. Simply I am utilizing that mymodule in my program by using an import statement. And what I am doing is I am calling a variable person, and in that especially I am calling an another variable called age. Next, we can rename the modules also. Okay, by using a as statement, as keyword. Okay, suppose import mymodule is there. I want to rename that mymodule as mx. So I can write a statement like this: import mymodule as mx. Okay, so import mymodule as mx. So as is the keyword which can be used to rename the modules. So here what I am using the same example, previous example, but instead of mymodule I am using here mx. Okay, because I have renamed but mymodule as mx. So mymodule as mx. So that's why I am using mx dot person of age. Similarly, the same output whatever we got in the previous slide, the same output will be displayed here. Okay, so you remember that renaming of a module can be done with a keyword called as. Next, so there is another program So this program will try to tells you that from any module we can utilize all the contents of the module or some part of the module. There are two things can be done. We can utilize all the contents of the module or some part of the module. Okay, so this can be done with the help of a statement from. See here, you have written a module. In that module I have two things. One is a function called greeting, and the second one is a dictionary called person1. In that person1 I have declared some values: name John, age 36, country Norway. So two things I have stored in my module function or my module. Okay, so but while I am utilizing that module, I can utilize only some part of that module. I can only utilize person1. Okay, I am not using this greeting function, right? So to do that, you have to write statement from. So from my module import person1. I am importing only the dictionary. The dictionary name is person1. I am not importing greeting function. Okay, hope you understood. We have a module called my module. In that module I have two things. One is a function called greeting. Second one is a dictionary which is called as person1. While writing some other program, I am trying to import only the dictionary which is available in the my module. I am not using all the contents of the my module. So to do that, what I should write as statement is from. From is the keyword which is used. So from my module, what I want to use from my module, I want to use only a dictionary which is called person1. So from my module import person1. Okay, so now after I am writing a statement, print person1 of age. So when you have written this statement, what is the answer you should get? The output you should get is 36. Okay, so 36 will be the answer you should get. I am writing the statement here, 36. Okay, so hope you understood this. We can import some part of the module rather than importing all the contents of the module. So to do that particular thing, what should we write a statement is we have to write from statement. So from my module import person1. Okay, if I want to use all the contents of the module, simply write import my module. That's it. No need to write this from statement. Okay, so you can practice this in any Python IDE so that you can able to understand very easily. Okay, so that's about the Python modules. Okay, so like that we can define the modules under the extension of .py, and we can use that modules wherever it is required in our programs. And next we go with decision making statements in Python. Okay, so decision making statements are nothing but in any language we have to take some decisions while satisfying some conditions. Like if some condition is happened, then only we have to do some kind of thing. Okay, so this is there in every kind of programming, which is called as the decision making structure. That means we have two alternatives in front of us. So based on some condition, we have to follow any one alternative. Whether the condition becomes true, then we follow some statements. Whether the condition becomes false, we follow some other kind of statements. Okay, so these are called as decision making statements, which are if else, if else, and nested decision structures. So nothing new here. Everything is like the same kind of thing that we have learned in C programming. This if conditions, if else, okay, if else if, then nested structures. But the only thing difference is the syntax is different in Python. Okay, so let's see how this syntax can be followed in while writing the decision making structures. Okay, right. So Python conditions and if statements. So generally, these if statements can be used with logical conditions like A is equal to B. We are checking whether A is equal to B. A is not equal to B. Then less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Okay. So these are the common logical operators or relational operators that we use in Python. Okay. Associated with especially decision making statements. So there are 4 different kind of decision making statements in Python. If else, if else if, it is if else. Okay, it can be generally called as if else if. Next, nested if. Okay, so these are the 4 statements we are using. It is very simple concept. Okay, because already we have some knowledge while we are writing in C programming. The same thing here also applied. Okay, so let's see the first statement, if statement. So how can we write an if statement is a simple thing. If condition, then followed with a colon. You no need to give any brackets. Okay, in general C programming, what we do is we try to write a brackets or a parenthesis. Here we don't give any brackets. Okay, but the thing is, this statement will be ended with all the condition statements will be ended with colon. Okay, not semicolon, colon. Semicolon is not used in Python. Nowhere we use semicolon. Okay, so we have A is equal to 33, B is equal to 200. Then what we check, we check the condition if B greater than A. Obviously it is true. Then if at all the condition become true, what we should print? We print a statement B is greater than A. Okay. But the thing we need to observe here is, after writing if statement, in the next line, I am leaving one space in front of the print statement. Then I am starting a print statement. Okay, so this is called what? Indentation. Like in the previous slides, I have explained what is about indentation. So in this slide, I am giving details about what is indentation. Indentation in Python is white space at the beginning of the line. This defines the scope of the code. Okay. In general, other programming languages, we use curly brackets. But in Python, we don't use curly brackets for following this scope concept. Okay. What happens if we write the next statement in the same line? Okay. In the same line, when you return the next statement, you will get an error. So you can see here, if B greater than A, then in the next line, you are immediately starting from the left. You are writing a print statement. You are not leaving any one space behind the print statement. So whenever it is done, you will get an error. Okay. So this is the purpose of writing an indentation in programming, and especially Python programming. So we need to leave one space after any conditions, if conditions, while conditions, for loops, functions, modules, any kind of these things. When you're writing programs, you have to leave one space whenever the condition is occurred, and after followed by the next statement, you have to leave the one space in front of that statement. Okay. Next, using if else. So it is as simple as that. Again, same. If for condition, then print B is greater than A, else B is not greater than A. So here else also, while writing the else, you need to write this colon at the end of the else. Okay, otherwise it will not be treated as nothing. It will simply give an error. Okay, so A 200, B 33. So B greater than A. Generally it is not true. So if at all it is the condition not true, what will happens is it goes to the else part. Okay, so in else what is there? B is not greater than A. That will be printed. Similarly, elif. Elif in the sense, you want to check one or more conditions. Okay, generally we call this as an else if ladder in other programming languages. Else if ladder. So see here, if for first condition B greater than A, if at all that condition is true, then you will execute this statement, print B is greater than A. If at all that condition is not true and you want to check another condition, then we need to use this elif. Okay, so try to remember this. The syntax is elif, E-L-I-F, then followed by the condition a is equal to b, then colon. So print a and b are equal. So according to this example, a is 33, b is 33, both are equal. So it will check the first condition. Obviously the first condition is not true, then it will go and check the second condition, which is written as elif. Then if this condition is satisfied, then a and b are equal, this statement will be printed. Okay, so you need to write this kind of statement. Next, if elif else. Okay, similarly, if both the conditions are not satisfied, then obviously we have to write else part. If both the conditions are not satisfied, obviously we have to write this else part. Then a b greater than a, which is not true, a is equal to b, which is also not true, then obviously what it will print is else part. So else is a greater than b. Okay, so we can use if, elif and else. And we can write this also, like if and elif. Okay, there is no need to write else part here. But in C programming, while we are using a else if ladder, we have to write the else part at the end of the program. But here it is not required. Okay, so that is what the difference of elif and if else in C programming and Python. Okay, so it will check both the conditions. If at all both the conditions are not satisfied, then else part will be printed. Next, this is something called shorthand assignment operator, which is also we have learned in C programming. Like if you want to check whether the conditions A and B which is greater or which is lesser, then we can write that total statement in a single line also. Okay, so how can we write is if A greater than B colon, then print A is greater than B. No need to write this in the next line. You can write it in the same line also. This is called shorthand if statement. Okay, we can write the same thing in the print statement in the same line. Okay, and shorthand if else. You can see here. This can also be written as a shorthand statement, like if else in this box. So this total example, how many lines we have written? First 1 line, 2, 3 and 4. 4 lines we have written. But these 4 lines can be written in a single statement. Like here we can represent this. Print A if A greater than B, else print B. Okay. Instead of print A, we can write the total statement. A is greater than B. Print A is greater than B if A greater than B. Okay. So we can write a statement like this. Shorthand if else statement. Okay. So we can put it all in the same line. All the conditions can be put it in a same line. So first we'll print what is true. If the condition becomes satisfied, what will be the true statement? This one on the left hand side, it is a true statement. So you have to write that first. Else, if the condition is not true, then you have to write this part, okay, which is on the right hand side. So like that we need to consider. Okay, so in between we are writing a condition if A greater than B. So if this condition become true, then the true statement should be represented on the left hand side of the statement. If at all this condition become false, okay, so that statement will be represented on the right hand side of the statement using this else. Okay, hope you understood. So this technique is called as a ternary operator or conditional expression. Similarly, in C programming also, this kind of thing is called as a ternary operators. Okay, the same thing here also, but with a slight change of a syntax. Nothing new here. Next, nested if. So we can write an if statement inside another if statement. Okay, nested if. So see here, x is equal to 41, we have taken example. If x greater than 10, print above 10. Or we are checking some other condition. Again, using if x greater than 20, print and also above 20, else but not above 20. Okay, so this is the way we can use nested if statement, writing an if statement inside another if statement. Okay, next, on the right hand side you can able to see something called the pass statement. Okay, in functions also we have used this pass statement. What is that pass statement means is, whenever you feel that you should not write any body of the function, then you should not be left that empty. You have to write a statement called pass. Similarly here also, if you want to check any condition and don't want to write any body of that condition, that means whether it is true or false, what should happen, you are not willing to mention that, then you can simply do not left that as an empty. You can write a statement called pass. Okay, so if a greater than b, you will check the condition. If the true or false, you don't bother, you just simply pass and continue with the next statement. Okay, at times or at some times you may require these kind of statements in your program, so at that time you can do this. If b greater than a, then pass in the sense this condition either true or false, we don't follow anything, we just follow the next iterations or the next lines of the code, we execute the next lines of code. Okay, so which is called as a pass statement. So if at all you have any requirement of checking any condition and don't want to perform any action there, then you need to write this pass statement. Okay, next, we have learned about the concept called strings earlier, how the strings will be declared, okay, and how the strings can be utilized. But there are some more different functions that we can apply on the strings, which are covered under the string methods. Okay, we'll try to learn about under the string methods. So there is a method called strip. Okay, so strip method, what will do is it will remove any white spaces from the beginning or the end. You can see you have taken a string called hello world, but in front of the hello world there is a space. You can observe here there is a space. A is equal to, I have written some space and then writing a statement hello world. So what I doing when I called the function strip function, what it will do is it will remove these spaces which are at the beginning or at the ending. It will not remove any spaces in between the string. It will remove the spaces which are at the beginning and which are at the ending. Okay, so that is the first function called strip. Next, lower and upper, all these functions already we use. Okay, so what it will do is it will convert the total string into lower case, and upper is it will convert the total string in uppercase, which already we have learned in C programming. Next, we have something called replace method. Replace method is in the total string, if you want to replace any word with some other, if you want to replace any letter with some other word, then we can do this, or any letter or word. Okay, so what here I am doing is I am removing this H and replacing that H with J. So what can I do is I can write print a dot replace, then in brackets the first one is what is the letter has to be replaced, and at that place what we should put. Okay, so we have to remove H from the string and write J in the string. In place of H we need to write J. Okay, so obviously what is the output will become H, in place of H we will get J, Jello world. Okay, next, there is a function called split. What the split function will do is it will divide the total string into some words. Okay, so wherever the comma is there, it will totally divide that string into two different strings. Suppose hello, after hello there is a comma, so where I am splitting, whenever the comma exists, I am splitting the total string into two strings. Hello is one string and world is one string. So you can able to see in the output, hello will be one string, comma, world will be another string. Okay. Next, concatenation, string concatenation. Concatenation means what? Merging the two strings. Suppose you have taken A is equal to hello, B is equal to world. We can write a statement C is equal to A plus B. Whenever we write C is equal to A plus B, obviously it is a combination of A and B. So if you try to print the function C or try to print the variable C, you will get the answer as hello world. Okay, combinedly we are combining both statements or both strings in a single statement or a single string. Next, format. See, this format method already we have used in other concepts earlier while we are discussing about strings concept itself, or otherwise data types concepts. We have used this format method. So format method can be used to combine the strings with numbers. Suppose you can see in the example in the top section, age is 36. I have defined a variable, and text is equal to which I am defining a string. My name is John, and I am using plus age. But age is what? Age is a number. I cannot combine this number with string. This is actually string. This total thing is called as string, and I am combining with this with age. Age is nothing but a number. It cannot be done. When you try to print text, that means print this variable txt, it will not give output. It will give an error. Okay. So what can we do is, we can combine strings and numbers by using a format method. There is a method called format. With that format method, we can combine these strings and numbers. How can we do this? You can see in the middle section, age is equal to 36, text is equal to my name is John and I am. And what I am doing is, I need to get age here. So at that place, what I am writing a curly brackets, opening brackets and closed brackets. In the next line, what I am doing is print txt dot format of age. I am converting this age into string, because age is a number, right? So that number has to be converted into a string. So you need to write a statement txt dot format of age. Obviously what happens is, at this curly brackets, the value which is there in the variable age is replaced. So you will get the output as my name is John and I am 36. Hope you understood. Okay, ma? So age is 36 and age is the int variable, text is the string variable. And if you want to combine these two things, I am using format method by using a parenthesis curly brackets at wherever the number is required. Okay, so print txt dot format of age. This statement will convert the number age 36 into a string 36. Okay, similarly in the bottom section, you can able to see another example. What is that example is, you have taken three different kind of variables. Quantity, that is a variable which can store a value 3. Item number, which can store a value 567. Price, which can store a float value 49.95. Now I have taken a string called my order is equal to, I want something. Okay, at that place what you require is brackets. Okay, pieces of item, then again item number. This bracket will be replaced with item number. Then again for, after that again brackets is there, that will be replaced with float value price. Okay, so what the basic thing is, I want to get the output as, I want 3 pieces of items 567 for $49.95. That is the output I need to get. So to get that output, wherever the values are required, these values are integer values and float values. But here my order is called as a string. Why it is string? Because I am assigning some string to that. I want pieces of item for dollars. Okay, this entirely it is a enclosed in double quotations. So whenever it is enclosed in double quotations, it becomes a string. So my order is a string, price is a float value, item is a integer value, quantity is a integer value. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to combine these numbers and use it in my order. That means with the strings. So what should I do? I should convert this total values into strings. Okay, so I have to write just my order, because my order is a string which contains my order dot format. Okay, how many values are there? 3 values. Then we need to mention all these 3 values: quantity, item number, price. So this quantity will be replaced in the first bracket, item number is replaced in the second bracket, price will be replaced in the third bracket. I already told you that this can be utilized in with indexes also. We can write here 0, this 1, this 2. Okay, we can also write like that also, 0, 1, 2. So at 0 index, quantity will be replaced. So what is the quantity contains number 3. So the 3 will be replaced here. Similarly, in first index, item number 1, that will be replaced in this bracket. Okay. Similarly, price, this will be replaced in the last brackets, which is called as index 2. Okay, ma? So this is how we can combine the string and numbers using a format method. Next, so we can write these different kinds of we can utilize these different kinds of functions whenever it is required. Okay, so but due to the time constraints, we cannot explain each and every function in detail with an example. Okay, there are so many functions like this. If wherever it is required, we can use. Okay, so just go through all these different kind of functions which are available. Okay, so there is a description is available in the right hand side and the method on the left hand side, so you can able to see there are different functions and their descriptions. Whenever it is required, you can use this with proper examples. Okay, so we have used upper, lower, strip, join. Okay, then format method is used. Then count is there to count the number of values in that string. Okay, all these different things, right? So this is about the strings concept. Thank you. That's it for the class today. Thank you.